Now would a volunteer please come up to try a piece of dark chocolate and let the class know what they feel about it? Anyone? Volunteer? Come on up. Please unwrap that and try it. Now, what do you first notice when you take a bite into that dark chocolate?
It's delicious.
So it's the taste you first notice. Thank you. You may now sit down. People for the longest time have made the choice to indulge in unhealthy food products, opposing the counterpart. Is it possible to indulge in something that tastes amazing and is also healthy? Now, my research is primarily from the Journal of Food Science, a publication of the Institute of Food Technologists, and scientific documentation from the U.S. National Library of Medicine and National Institutes of Health. I'll begin first by comparing dark chocolate and milk chocolate, then prove how dark chocolate can help prevent various diseases, improve your mood, and protect your skin. Now, there are two types of chocolate out there. Well, there's more than two, but these are the main. Dark chocolate, it is included in the Healing Foods Pyramid, and it's mind-boggling to think that it's in that Healing Foods Pyramid because most of us would label it as a candy or a treat or dessert, yet most of the things in the Healing Foods Pyramid are nuts, fruits, items that we don't think as a tasty sweet. The creation of dark chocolate spawns from the beans harvested from the cocoa tree. This here is a cocoa tree, and these are the pods here. And the beans are first dispersed from their pods, they are fermented, dried, roasted, and then finally ground to make a cocoa mass or liquor, which is later formed into the chocolate that we eat today. So this is the powder, and there's the finished product. Dark chocolate contains a lot of cocoa butter, and less milk than milk chocolate, of course. Yet, cocoa butter is vegetable fat from the cocoa bean, so it is not an additive that you'd think it would. Butter sounds terrible, but it is not bad. Secondly, we have milk chocolate. Now, milk chocolate, the process starts off very similar to dark chocolate. It starts off as a cocoa bean in a pod, just like from a similar tree, yet it receives several additives, including tons of sugar, vanilla, and variations of milk content. So there's some vanilla additives, some milk, and these are all fattening to the body. Dark chocolate can help prevent various diseases also. There are flavonoids found in dark chocolate, and flavonoids are antioxidants found in various fruits, vegetables, and nuts. Now, mounting evidence suggests that oxidative stress contributes to pathogenesis of many ocular diseases. And ocular diseases are relative to the eye and visual system, including glaucoma and diabetic retinopathy. This here is an example of glaucoma to the eye, causing blindness. Pretty ugly. Now, free radicals, they are a harmful molecule formed when oxygen interacts with molecules in your body. And, the result is low blood pressure and LDL cholesterol, which is bad cholesterol. And there's a picture of diabetes. And dark chocolate can reduce this by up to 10%. Milk chocolate doesn't contain any of these benefits as it is diluted. The bittersweet taste of dark chocolate is the taste of health benefits in action. Dark chocolate also improves your mood. It stimulates the endorphins in your brain. Now, endorphins correlate with pleasure. So if you are, struggling with all the homework and feeling overwhelmed, and you need a release of endorphins, choose to pop in a piece of dark chocolate. It'll make you feel better. And endorphins are also released in physical activity. So if you don't feel like you're having the time to be able to go to the gym and exercise, just pop in a piece of dark chocolate. It'll raise your mood. It also contains serotonin, and serotonin is an important antidepressant. So if you're feeling down in the dumps because your final grade was terrible, just have a piece of dark chocolate also because it serves as an antidepressant. Dark chocolate protects your skin. These flavonoids also act to absorb UV light, which are harmful rays to the skin and body. And also, these flavonoids help protect and increase blood flow to the skin. This increase in blood flow helps improve the skin's hydration and complexion. And another disease that I didn't mention was, skin diseases that occur from those UV rays that are protected by these flavonoids found in dark chocolate. So, in review, I discussed the various types of chocolate and the process of making them. The prevention of various diseases dark chocolate offers. Positive mood effects, which is basically the serotonin and also the endorphins. And skin protection, which, the increased blood flow to the skin helps improve your complexion. The decision to improve your health and mood is up to you. Dark chocolate offers health benefits while being in the indulgent, decadent form of a delicious dessert. Please don't fall for the diluted and non-beneficial milk chocolate alternative. As Ann Wigmore, an accredited health practitioner, put it, the food you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. Thank you.
Sports is one of our biggest parts of our nation's economy, and the large majority of our nation loves sports. From soccer to basketball to baseball, sports are played year-round, but which sport is the best to play? Football is the most exciting, but it can be very dangerous and be expensive at the same time. Baseball is known as America's pastime, but there's been little change to the sport overall. Hockey, that's basically played in Canada only, but I guess we do play a little bit in America. And then soccer, it's the most accessible, but what is more un-American than ending a game in a tie? But then there's basketball, the best sport to watch, experience, and play. So, as I said before, sports are a part of our American culture. From the huge organizations like the NBA and MLB to our Little League, baseball Little Leagues, sports play a prominent role in our society. But I believe basketball is the best sport to play. It's great for your health. It is a lot of fun to play, and you can meet a lot of people playing the game. Even if you think you're past your sport prime, you can have your children play in the future and reap all the benefits that come from the sport. So I have 10 years of organized play experience and even more years of playing just for fun. I also played soccer and baseball, so I have other sport experience to use for comparison. I have also researched from health experts like Samir Bisic, the magazine author of Health Fitness Revolution, to professional sport writers like Stan Mack of LiveStrong.com. From the health benefits of playing basketball to why the sport is American, I have done the extra research to prove my point. So, today, I would like to persuade you that basketball is the best sport to play, first of all, because basketball provides great fitness and health benefits. Second, basketball is a very American sport because it emphasizes diversity, team play, and accessibility. And lastly, basketball is just fun to watch and play. So, for my first point is the health benefits of basketball. Those are going to be into 3 points. The early age benefits, so if you have your kids in the future play, and then the physical and mental benefits. So first for kids, the early age benefits is develops coordination and motor skills. So you'll be seeing kids flying around because they don't have very good balance or coordination yet. Well, basketball is a really good thing for kids to play because it develops hand-eye coordination between shooting and dribbling the ball, and then also they get a full body range of motion for their body. So whether they're running, jumping, dribbling the ball, shooting it, their motor skills, they're doing everything. And then next, it strengthens the bones from jumping to the physical demand of the sport of basketball. It strengthens the bones rather than them just sitting on a couch all day watching TV. They are running, jumping, sprinting. That just builds strength in their bones. And lastly, it develops concentration and self-discipline from understanding the rules and following them to knowing whether or not to foul or not. This sport gives a lot of concentration and self-discipline to younger kids. Next, there's the physical benefits. The sport burns a ton of calories from it running, jumping, sprinting. It just does a ton. Also, it has a lot of strength training, whether you're playing the sport and you're lifting weights or even if you're doing like a position like defensive, like you're getting down and your legs are getting into it, so you're getting a lot stronger in your legs for sure. And then lastly, it builds endurance. It's a full body workout. You're doing so many motions and you're running up and down the court, so you're going to build a lot of endurance. And then lastly, there's a lot of mental benefits of the sport. Basketball is very social. It builds confidence, whether you're hitting a lot of shots or even if you're not doing well, like you can build confidence out of your teammates' play doing well. And then also it reduces stress. Like if you're a person like me who just enjoys sports, like this is the thing that I'll do when I'm really stressed out, and it'll just make me feel better and take that stress off me. And then lastly, like obviously it's a very social sport. I've interacted with so many teammates, coaches, opponents, refs, whether they're good interactions or not, they've definitely been very good to me socially. So now that we see some of the health benefits of basketball, both physical and mental, we need to see how basketball has developed into America's sport and how that benefits those who play. So the first part of basketball being American is its accessibility. America wants to give chances to everybody in our nation, so accessibility of the sport is really good. All you need is a hoop and a basket. Like even if you don't have that, like and every time you see like in their park they'll have a basketball hoop, so you really only need a ball. So there's like open opportunity for everybody to play the sport and to like and just have fun with it. And then also it blends team and individual success. Winning is a very, very American thing. So whether you're winning, like basketball, you don't need to just be individual success. Like it's a lot of teamwork involved. So like out of basketball, out of all the sports, I'd say basketball, the best team wins out of the most. Like soccer and baseball, like sometimes like the other teams can get lucky and get a win and eventually like win it all. But like in basketball, the best team usually always wins. Very American way to look at it. And then also, basketball is a sport of change. I'm looking at like more specifically like college basketball and the NBA, but the NBA was the first to incorporate female refs, female coaches. Becky Hammonds is an assistant coach for the San Antonio Spurs, and the NBA is the first organization to have an openly gay professional athlete in Jason Collins. So like as America's changing, like basketball has changed a lot with it too. That can even be seen in the early days of sport. So seeing that basketball is American, there's not much to discuss other than how much fun the sport is. So basketball, I just love the sport. There's everything about it. I just love it. So from the rules, it's very simple to play. Put the basket in the hoop. Like there is a lot more to it, but it is simple in essence. And then I'll say it's very easy to access. So with like the accessibility to it, you just have a lot of potential to have just a lot of fun with it. And then also the team aspect. I'd say this is definitely the best. Like the social aspect of the sport, you get to interact with a ton of people, as I said before. I've met a lot of good friends, a lot of good people through the sport. And then also, I think probably one of the best parts of it is like not only are you with your team all the time, but you have to depend on your team. Like if you're not playing good, you have your teammates that you can build confidence off and be playing really well with. And then lastly, my biggest thing is the highlights, from whether the scoring, the dunks, the blocks, and the crossovers. I'm going to show you a little video of some of the stuff that I just love about basketball. So that had like kind of all my favorite parts into it. I had the block, somebody literally just throwing a shot out of, like literally just throwing another person's shot. Nothing gets better than that. Dunking the ball, literally just throwing the ball into the rim, and then crossing somebody over. I mean, I can do all of these, but I can't really just cross somebody over in class. Really, so this video really just gave the best of all those highlights. So after seeing the health benefits, how basketball is American, and how much fun the sport of basketball is, I hope that you will agree that basketball is the best sport to play and also watch. Through my many years of playing and watching the sport of basketball, I hope my passion has been passed on to you. If this wasn't enough to convince you, go outside on a nice day, grab a ball, shoot a couple of hoops, and I think you might change your mind.
When we see models on the cover of magazines, their complexion seems flawless. They have that bright, glowing, dark, vibrant complexion. A lot of people, mostly girls, but I know some guys, maybe even some people in here, aim to have the skin complexion by going out to tanning places to go tan, or when we go on vacation, we all want to come back dark. Some people have competitions to see who can come back the darkest, and it's fun laying out in the sun all day for hours and hours. And I spent a lengthy amount of time studying this subject. I also used to tan a lot, like 3 or 4 times a week, a lot. And I also had to do a persuasive essay on this topic in my English class senior year of high school. So I've done quite a bit of research on this. So today I would like to persuade you all to avoid tanning beds completely and to educate the people around you about the risks of tanning. Now I'm pretty sure everyone in here, or mostly everyone in here, have heard that the main reason why tanning is bad is because it causes cancer. Alan Geller, who is from Harvard School of Public Health and a leading researcher on the epidemiology of skin cancer, says that most projections will say that about 40 uses of a tanning bed during one's lifetime elevates one's risk of melanoma about 55%. So if you do the math, that basically means a 1.5 extra risk for melanoma for each time you use it. Melanoma is the more dangerous form of skin cancer. It's not the most common, but it's the most dangerous one. And it starts with the epidermal cells, which are just the very top layer of skin, pretty much what you see. And it counts for most of the deaths from skin cancer because it is the most dangerous, so it is curable, but you have to catch it like super duper early, otherwise you're probably a goner. There's also a non-melanoma skin problem that comes from tanning also. It's not cancerous, it's just another skin problem that happens, like blemishes and stuff. It occurs at the base of the epidermis, so a little beneath your skin surface. It occurs both on the inside and the outside of your body. And it mostly affects the areas that the sun hits the most. So like the lips, the back of the hands, the face, neck, ears. And what happens is the UV rays damage the skin's epidermal cells, and like when people say that tanning's great and it makes you look good, honestly, tanning is just a response to an injury. Your cells are trying to protect your skin. That's why you get tan, and sometimes if it doesn't work fast enough and you're overexposed to the UV rays, you get sunburned. Now that you kind of know a little bit about how it connects with cancer, let's move on to how it can cause premature aging. You've all probably also heard that tanning can lead to wrinkles and blemishes and stuff like that. This is true because what happens is the UV rays will break down the collagen and elastin fibers in your face, and that's what makes your face like tight. That's why like once you get older, I mean those things start wearing down, so then your skin starts getting wrinkly, it starts getting blemishes as you see on older people. So if you're tanning all the time, you're just speeding up the process. Like I have a friend that lives in Florida, and he works on the beach every day, all day, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 7 days a week for about 6 months at a time. And he's only 24, but he looks like he's about 33 because of all the sun that he's been exposed to. Like his face literally looks like leather. It's permanently red, and he's got blemishes all over his face. I mean, he wears sunscreen, he's under the umbrellas, he wears hats, but I mean, if you're in the sun for that long, for that amount of time, I mean, there's really no way to get around it. So once he gets to like probably 50, he's gonna look probably like he's 70. With that being said, let's move along to how tanning is addictive. According to the Skin Cancer Foundation, studies have shown that tanning can actually be a really addictive habit. So when I used to tan, I know for a fact that when I used to go tanning, I loved laying in the tanning beds. Like they made me feel so relaxed. Like I just wanted to stay there all day and just read and get tan. It's because endorphins are being released in your body. The UV rays are what causes the endorphins. And according to the Cancer Foundation, a 2006 study showed that they gave a group of tanners a drug called naltrexone, and this drug blocks the endorphins produced in the skin while tanning. And in the study, 50% of frequent tanners were given the naltrexone before the UV exposure, and they all exhibited withdrawal symptoms, including nausea and jitteriness. But the infrequent tanners didn't really get any withdrawals or anything because they didn't do it as much. They also did another study that one group was in a UV light emitting tanning bed while the others used a non-UV light emitting tanning bed. And about 95% said they would rather have the UV emitting light beds because they created a more relaxed mood and even relieved pain, possibly due to the endorphins. I remember I would do it, and even when I go on vacation still, I still like laying out in the sun because it makes you feel good, it's relaxing. So in conclusion, I've educated you all on how tanning can cause cancer, premature aging, and can even be an addictive activity. I hope you all will stop tanning if you do already, or if you've thought about doing it. Hopefully what I've taught you today will get that thought out of your head. Even if you know somebody that does do it, you can now educate and persuade them to quit the bad habit.
Fight for 15. Make the minimum wage a livable wage. Supersize my wages, and we're worth more have been common sayings among minimum wage protesters in the past couple of years. Minimum wage is something that we've been hearing something an awful lot about in these last couple of years, and especially in today's political arena. Many states and cities actually this past election have just passed minimum wage standards that have raised their minimum wage. But today I'd like to take a look at why I believe minimum wage increases would actually hurt minimum wage workers, their employers, the people they serve, and I'd also like to offer an alternative to minimum wage increases. But before I begin, I'd like to take a look at the current and the past status of minimum wage. So the current federal minimum wage, for those of you that don't know, is at $7.25 an hour. And that rounds out to be about $15,000 a year based on 40-hour work weeks. The highest minimum wage in the nation is found in Seattle, Washington at $15 an hour. The first minimum wage laws were actually introduced in 1912 to protect women and children who were working in unfair labor conditions. It wasn't until 1937 that minimum wage also protected men. The current federal minimum wage law that we see today was signed in 1938 by FDR, and it was first at 25 cents an hour. Today's workers of minimum wage jobs, or 45%, are ages 16 to 24, with the majority being over the age of 25. So now that we have a little background in the current status, I'd like to take a look at why I believe increasing the minimum wage would be bad for workers. The first reason why I think this would be bad for the workers is basically just supply and demand. So those of you that haven't had an economics class and are unfamiliar with supply and demand, there's only so much supply and demand, and there's an equilibrium point. So this applies to workers because employers may offer 10 jobs at $7.50 to workers, but if the minimum wage increase goes up to $10, like it's happening in some places, obviously the companies don't have enough money to pay everybody. So probably about 3 of those workers are going to get laid off in order to help pay for the other 7's wages. And this also discriminates against low-skilled workers who really need minimum wage jobs. When people look to see who they're going to keep in their company, it's usually going to be the low-skilled workers that are the first ones to go. And on the contrary, the people that actually do stay, it's encouraging mediocrity because the responsibilities and the jobs that they're doing haven't necessarily gone up. And so really minimum wage jobs are that first rung on the ladder of success and career building. And so if they're getting more money, it's not encouraging them to go out and find another job that will help pay them more. Also, business owners, again, are looking to cut costs and save money. So a lot of the processes that are done by human workers that are being paid minimum wage are probably going to become more automated processes. And we've seen this with the use of kiosks and other machines and robots that are taking the place of human workers. Also, if it's possible, business owners are going to outsource their jobs to other countries that don't have as high a minimum wage or labor standards as the U.S. And also the minimum wage is going to stunt growth of businesses because if business owners can't afford to pay the exact number of employees that they need, then the work that they need to get done isn't going to happen. And so, again, this is going to stunt potential growth for companies and businesses, and in extreme cases will force some businesses to go out of business. So now that we've seen how this minimum wage can affect and hurt the workers of minimum wage, I'd like to take a look at how minimum wage would hurt the consumers like us. So I want to use a quick example for this. And according to the U.S. Department of Labor, 50% of minimum wage jobs are in the food-related industry. So a 2015 Purdue University study found that if restaurant employees do get a 15 or 22-hour wage increase, we can see a 4.3 to 25% wage increase, or price and product respectively. So I did the math, and in Indiana, I think everyone's familiar with McDonald's, especially #1 value meal. That would go from being about $6 to $8. Now that study was done on theoretical research, but in Chicago, after their minimum wage rose to $10 an hour, they saw a 6.7% rise in coffee prices. And so a tall caramel macchiato, which is the smallest size of drink that you can get, went to be about the same price as a grande caramel macchiato. And the same tall caramel macchiato would cost you $7 out in Oakland, California, after a 36% minimum wage increase hit the city. So all this to say that things that we take for granted as far as prices are concerned would raise. And just because minimum wage is getting an increase doesn't necessarily mean that salaried employees are going to have a wage increase as well. So obviously people that have minimum wage jobs are just looking to provide for their families. So instead of asking the government to help raise their wages, I'd like to take a look at an alternative. I think that instead of the government raising the prices, I think that they can assist these people to learn new skills. And this is because skills like welding, electricians, machinists, plumbers, all those professions are becoming in high demand. And that's because about 15% of the people that hold these professions are going to be retiring in about 10 years or so. And also, trade schools do not take as long as traditional colleges. Depending on what kind of profession they want to get into, it can take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. And schools, even like ITT Tech, offer on-the-job training and other jobs while they're in school, so they would not have to stay in their minimum wage jobs. Also, this is beneficial because the skills and the knowledge that they do learn at their trade school will stay with them for the rest of their life. So even if they get fired or let go, they'll still have skills that will always be in demand because people will always need plumbers, electricians, machinists, because we keep buying more and more things. So as I wrap up, I just wanted to state that I don't think the minimum wage is a bad thing at all. It's a physical price floor for people to see and to know how much their time is worth to employers. In the long run, however, I do not think that minimum wages are going to be beneficial for workers, their bosses, or the people that they serve. I just want to reiterate too that minimum wage jobs are not careers, and so people should take the time that they're in minimum wage jobs to try to learn valuable skills and other assets and take that on to the next job level and climb the ladder of success. So also, instead of asking the government to raise minimum wage, I think that they could come up with some program where they could offer assistance, either through subsidizing schools or offering grants to help people learn valuable skills that will stay with them for the rest of their life. Thank you.
On.
Have you ever learned a different language in high school or in college? But have you ever considered to speak a language in silent? Well, today I would like to persuade how Using sign language can help individuals every day, and how it can potentially lead to further options in life by knowing that language. I had the privilege to be educated in sign language by attending classes at the Northwest State Community College during my elementary school years. Also last semester, in effective writing, I composed a research essay over sign language and how it can benefit us today. There are a variety of different types of people who can speak differently in the United States, but not everyone is able to speak some of these languages. The United States is primarily focused on English and Spanish, though it is important to be able to communicate with everyone, so I think sign language is able to help solve the problem. So let's get into this. Why is sign language used, and who mainly uses this concept? There are three different reasons why. Communication is one, people with disabilities, and of course, special ed teachers. For communication, there's different reasons why sign language is used. One is in general, just regular conversation, and also to be secretive. I know people want to talk, but they don't want people to know the information that they're trying to interact. So sign language is also beneficial, so other people around the world just don't know what you're saying. For people like me, who are deaf and profound hearing loss, sign language is another reason to use. For me, I was kind of forced to learn the language just because I didn't hear back a long time ago. So I was forced to learn the language, and me and my family learned how to speak, interact with silently using sign language. And then also there are people that are not capable to talk, so they only rely on visual languages, and that's sign language, of course, and that's the only way they can communicate with other people around. And then, of course, from my personal experiences, special ed teachers, I grew up with a bunch of those. They always help interact with me, how to stay on top of all the topics, the schoolwork, because I could not hear some of the teachers. So I always had a teacher right next to me, sign language, all the different things that the teachers were saying in class. Now, we know who uses sign language, and let's briefly talk about how sign language can help impact normal individuals in society today. For instance, there are doctors and international jobs. For instance, doctors, patients that have disabilities, how are we going to be able to communicate with the people like me? Like, what if I'm in a hospital sitting in an operation room, not be able to hear because I have to take my hearing aids off? How do I follow the instructions? Because the doctor doesn't know how to communicate, interact with me. So that's another reason why I think, people should know sign language. And then, of course, international jobs. Their business international, I think it will be crucial to be able to sign language, the clients they will have, because you never know what will happen and who you'll be interacting with among overseas. And of course, the big one, mission trips. How are you going to be able to interact with people and spread the word to people who are not being able to talk or hear? So, of course, for sign language, you can, if they know, you can help them and just sign language with them, and that's another way to get the word out to people around the world. Knowing that sign language can help us individually, let's get into how sign language compares with our spoken language. Believe it or not, sign language tends to follow the same grammatical uses as spoken language. Sign language follows the same verb agreements as spoken language. I found a research article from Morales Lopez, and he stated Sign language exhibits a verbal subcategory that she calls agreement verbs, which have an internal agreement formed from distinguishing between different kinds of information. So, as we talk, we're basically getting sign language the way how we talk. So, how we follow like sentence form, anything you have learned from, high school to college, everything that all the rules apply to sign language. So, since sign language has the same concept as spoken language, how do we know when to start learning the language? Most commonly, people who study sign language are kids during elementary school years. I've also come to another research article from Rand. He stated, in view of the wide variation in development typically exhibited by young children and the general population, there is a need to investigate the extent of this variability for sign language and to confirm existing findings of a larger number of children. So that's kind of back from when I first started learning sign language back in the elementary school. I actually grasped the language very quickly while learning how to speak. Where if you try to learn it today, at our age, it's going to be kind of harder to learn the concept because we already know how to speak. It's just kids generally take more information faster than how we do it. So today, I have introduced how sign language is used today and how it can help gain more knowledge with the language of movement. And in conclusion, I encourage everyone to look more into sign language as another simple way to communicate with others, include everyone in your life. If you decide to learn it as a secondary language, you will see significant impact in your life as well for other people you communicate with. Thank you.
You are on.
Stress is something none of us want to have. It affects our health and aspects of our life in our areas, such as relationships and how we use our management skills. And as college students, we definitely have experienced this stress. And college is actually a start for most people when it comes to stress, and that's where they develop their problems later in life. So there must be some way we can manage this stress that we all have to deal with. And that's why I want to encourage you all to relax more often and get more sleep. So I'd like to start off by giving some benefits and reasons as to why you should relax and get more sleep. One benefit is it de-stresses you. Others is it's more creative. You have more time to think of new ideas, and your brain functions better when you take a break when you sleep more often. And you can also, one is called evaluate and assess, and that's like reevaluating current things that you do because you take the time off to think more. Your mood will improve, and you'll be more happier and energetic when you take time to relax. Your blood pressure will decrease, and you can relieve pain because you will not think so much about this pain once you take a break. And your immune system will improve, and you're able to fight off colds and infections better. Now, some benefits for sleeping enough, which is different from relaxation, is that you will learn better, you will focus easier, and you can process memories better. Because while you sleep, your brain creates new pathways to process information, and if your brain doesn't have that opportunity, you're not going to remember things as easy. And your learning will also improve when you get more sleep, because with things just like with learning schoolwork, you'll be able to focus on it easier, you can understand it better, and like if you're taking a driver's test, you'll be able to learn you'll be able to focus more on the way you can drive, and you can learn how to drive much easier if you're learning to. And simple things like a golf swing, if you get more sleep, you'll be able to improve your golf swing. You can follow through with the motions much easier and perfect it. Now, on a more biblical note, I'd like to talk about what the Bible says about relaxation. And this is known as the Sabbath, which is a day that we set aside to take a break from our physical work and revere the Lord. So, God set aside this day early on in Genesis when He rests on creation. That's where we get that from. And the Sabbath is a day that we rest from daily activities so that way we can focus on the Lord. And I'd also like to give a quote that I found while reading an article, and this is the author's quote that illustrates kind of what the Sabbath means. God knew that in our humanity we had a tendency to further our own interests. We would need opportunities for spiritual growth to refocus on things of eternal importance. The Sabbath is an opportunity to break away from the pressures of everyday living. And I think that illustrates well what the Sabbath means. So now that I've given some reasons and benefits to relaxing and getting enough sleep, I'd like to talk about the consequences of not doing either of these things. So, a simple one is you'll become more stressed. And the problems with stress, they're never good for you. They affect your health and some physical aspects of you. Your asthma can worsen because stress will increase your asthma symptoms. Diabetes, if you have it, will be a lot worse than normal if you don't have enough sleep. You can get depressed easier, and that can also be heightened without enough sleep. And you can age faster, which is also a problem with stress. And you can also get heart problems, and these would be high blood pressure or heart attacks. Heart attack-like symptoms such as like pain in the chest or tightness there. And there's also a risk of stroke that can be caused by not getting enough sleep from stress. And you won't be able to make decisions effectively, and you won't think as straight as you normally would with 8 to 7 hours of sleep. You'll have problems controlling your emotions. You'll have problems coping with change. These will make it much harder. And some physical aspects of having decreased sleep is you can have an increased chance of obesity, and your hormones can be imbalanced. So the way to combat this is to get about 7 to 8 hours of sleep that the National Sleep Foundation recommends. And if you're a teen, it's around 9 to 10 hours of sleep. So now that you know how important sleep and relaxation are, I would love to give some of my best ways to relax. Drinking green tea is a great way of reducing stress because it contains an amino acid called L-theanine, which improves the mood. And chewing gum actually reduces stress. It's a great way to relax because your mind is taking off some of the worries that you have. That helps you out. Another great way is to go on vacation. That's what most people think of when they think of relaxation. And you're outdoors, and it's a more peaceful setting. And actually taking a walk in nature, being outdoors, has been known to decrease stress levels because the color green, like outside, there's something with that. I'm not really sure what it is though, but it can like decrease your stress levels and keep you more happier and more energetic. So I hope from this speech you've realized how important relaxation and rest are in your life. College can be a stressful time in our lives, so we need to try our best to relax during our busy schedules and manage our stress. So when you get the chance, take a break and revive yourself.